We make your future.
All right, hello everybody. This is the InGen Company Board podcast, back for another episode. I am Jurassic Adventures, and I am here with
Nate 48.
Jurassic Wars.
And then we got two other hosts. We have Toyman
I'm just waiting
Productions
for the other guy to go for
and
it.
AKA Dino
93.
Productions, because I keep changing my name almost every 5 months. Yeah.
There we go. And everyone's favorite underdeveloped character from Dominion.
Yes, but anyway, we have some very interesting new topics to cover this time. We have the Legacy Collection reveal that just got revealed on Target for November's Beyond the Gates, and that is the Risky Rescue Pack with Ellie Sattler. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Okay, first off, I like it. Second, I hate the Raptor that's included, but it's a good set. Definitely will buy. But $35 though? I don't know about that.
Yeah.
That price sucked.
I think that price point is definitely a bit steep, and the Raptor we get in that set is not optimal at all.
It's not even good. They should have used the new one. But
They
no,
changed
decided
it.
to upgrade the old.
They changed it from the best sculpt, which is like the sort of extreme damage one that we got this year, but
That's
like
good
without the
damage, though.
extreme damage. And it actually had a really nice paint scheme if you look in the Beyond the Gates like concept, but they changed it probably just because that was too expensive, which
And
is,
they shaft it.
don't get cheap on me, Mattel. It's kind of irritating.
Oh, they've done that too many times to count the stripe.
Well, yeah.
Also-
But Ellie looks good. The Jeep looks pretty good. I just don't know if it's really worth $35.
I honestly
Clearance
don't think it is worth $35. Like, I mean, you look at the Nedry set, which is technically like the same concept. You get a human character, a dinosaur, and a Jeep, and it was $30. That was a little steep back then, especially since they forgot the damn stripe.
I like it. Okay,
But-
I got a funny joke. I like how adding the red stripe adds like an extra $5 to it.
Yeah, literally, the red
Yeah.
stripe added $5 in value, which is like so stupid.
Well, like another
is
thing
the-
too.
The Roland
Is-
set retail at.
That was $30. I think
Oh.
that's more worth it though.
Totally.
But the Raptors
Because-
suck.
Yeah, the
Like, you don't win
what
the
was
Raptor,
it? Is this
you
one a
lose.
capture pack? That was worth it. $30 for.
No, that had a
The InGen
really like
vehicle.
this vehicle's super sturdy.
Oh yeah, I love that thing. I want to get another one when they eventually
But
go on sale.
also we have that Search and Smash truck, which by the way, that's starting to ship out from Amazon. So if you guys are curious about that and many other Dino Tracker toys, you can get them probably a bit early if you just order them from Amazon right now. But even that thing, it comes with a bunch of accessories. You got an Atrociraptor, a human, and then the vehicle with a dino damage feature, and that one's $33.
so amazing.
At least on Amazon. It
The
could retail
value
for 30.
really, yeah, the value really is not there, I would say, for this pack.
Nah.
Nah,
I mean, it's cool to have Muldoon's Jeep, and we are getting the Hammond Collection one very soon. So it is kind of cool, but
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
did
the
wish,
Hammond Collection Muldoon will coincide nicely with that Jeep.
But
Um,
one thing I do wish it didn't come with the Raptor, but it came with the Raincoat Muldoon, because I hate the fact that Mattel has to put in a random dinosaur in a pack with a human for it to sell, which I think is really ludicrous.
exactly, and I mean, if you have cool artwork on the package and stuff like that, and you have other factors to kind of show that it will play nicely with the other figures in the line, kind of like how Kenner did, I feel like you don't exactly even need a dinosaur just to sell it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
And
each sold
arguably-
separately type thing.
Kenner
It
did
does-
it. Hasbro
It does
did it.
coincide pretty good with the San Diego exclusive set we got and like all the other stuff that they've been putting out, but yeah, it's completely unnecessary, but it does tie in pretty well to everything we've gotten recently.
Mm-hmm.
yep.
So definitely, if you're, especially that whole Rex Paddock setup, like you'll
Oof.
definitely be getting
Yeah, we pretty
all
much
sorts
got
of stuff for that.
that entire sort of middle scene of the movie with the Rex paddock. That's all pretty much recreational. You can recreate all that stuff with the scenes with the figures, so it's pretty good, for sure.
All you need is some fence, which of course
It's-
Kenner's got you covered.
But I
um,
did wish Mattel made them, because I bet you they could make it really accurate.
They could
But
make it.
speaking
I
of-
think they have the capability to make
Speaking
a
of
good fence.
Legacy Collection, what we are getting, like, so this pack actually confirms that we're going to have some sort of legacy of some version for 2023, which is interesting because you can see that it's listed differently on all of the news websites. We have Jurassic Park 30th anniversary as a different category. Now, whether or not legacy transitions into Jurassic Park 30th anniversary, I am not sure. But if it doesn't, then that means we have that as well as the 30th anniversary figures, which is pretty interesting.
Right.
But
I'm
you know,
curious.
it is something to be curious about, I would say.
Yeah, there might be a potential hiatus in the legacy line too to make way for the 30th.
Yeah,
That's,
I
that's what I would
it's gonna be
think.
a huge hiatus because something tells me we got three legacy dinosaurs for the extreme damage line, and that's a Walmart exclusive.
Yeah, or that, or just Walmart's starting to they're starting to just produce figures that are from the original trilogy specifically for Walmart, you know. That's also a thing too. But I think, yeah, if we're gonna transition into there, we have the new epic damage figures. We have a Jurassic Park 3 Velociraptor, a young T-Rex, and a Pachycephalosaurus 2-pack, the Carnotaurus, and then also that Ford
Ford
Explorer
Explorer.
set. Yeah,
Oh,
that you
yeah, I
can
forgot about
it collapses down, and it comes with a Jurassic Park Velociraptor. And all these dinosaurs have an annoying light up feature. So
2015
Hasbro
Hasbro
flashbacks.
vibes. The
yeah, for
dark
sure.
times.
So I'm really not a fan of these features. I don't think anyone here really is. This feels very cheap. They look very cheap with the deco, and also there is not a lot going on. Just like in general, they're just
But
kind
I
of
can say one
repeats.
positive about it. They did technically kind of bring back the electronic Velociraptor toys for when Kenner did it. They did kind of bring that back a little bit.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
I mean,
Just wish
kind
it was
of, but it's
executed
not in the
more.
way we would like to see. You know, we probably
Nah,
would have just liked to see
I do not
sound
like it.
effects. But instead we have these massive gashes in the side of the figures for the sound to come through,
Permanent
And
and
render
also
damage.
these annoying lights. So it's definitely like Hasbro, or looking like Hasbro quality, which I do not.
You know,
Yeah.
when we said we wanted like electronic raptors, this is not what we wanted, Mattel. We wanted like Kenner quality, not this is. I cannot stand the light up feature on these new figures.
Yeah,
It just
and the
makes the
thing is,
whole thing look
it
cheap.
detracts so much from the deco, like because they have to put in all that electronics. It's probably also going to be even more expensive because of those electronics, which is
They're probably gonna be like
um,
$15 a piece now, which is like
exactly,
really
they're
bad.
not. That's not a
I
great
see
thing.
the $13 from what I've seen. They could be $13. I'm not really sure.
That's really
Yeah.
bad considering how the original Roarivore wave from 2018 was $15 when it retailed. Now, of course,
Oh my
a lot has
god!
changed since then. Of course,
Yeah, I mean, a global pandemic,
global
like we got to
pandemic
keep that in
and
mind before we
a
completely
lot
complain
of
about all of this.
inflation.
Inflation is really something that's
Bad.
happening, and especially so because I think Mattel is actually changing where their factories are and where they're producing this stuff. I've
Yeah,
been
they're
seeing
not
a lot more
producing in China
Vietnam.
anymore. They're producing in
I've been
Vietnam.
seeing a lot more Vietnam tags on all of their figures, which is interesting. I
I
think
just
that might
hope
be
Mattel doesn't do what
also.
Hasbro did with the packaging. I really hope not. I really hope they don't do that.
What do you mean by that?
Basically, you know how Hasbro, like on a Marvel Legend Black Series, they had the
Oh,
window,
you mean
right?
recently how they've done the
Oh,
windowless packaging?
windowless packaging is a recent trend in toy design, and the reason for it is they want to cut down on plastic waste and stuff like that. I feel like it's kind of, you need to see what you're getting. At least if you're gonna have a windowless design, make it so it's like a cutout at least. That's what I think.
In my personal opinion, I think the whole windowless box thing is really stupid because, I mean, it depends on how you execute it. Because if you look at like original Kenner figures, the Command Compound, Bush Devil Tracker, Capture Copter, and Jungle Explorer, they didn't have windows on their box, but at least you didn't have to worry about a QC mess up like we have to with Mattel half of the time. I
Yeah,
know
I was
the
about to
Right.
say.
the Hammond JP3 female and Alan Grant. I know that's going to be windowless, or at least I've heard from rumors from like Collect Jurassic, Andy Dinosaur Reviews. I think even Chris, who does the Beyond the Gates videos, I think he said those were windowless, which is really unfortunate because with the Hammond collection, we have to worry about so much like errors, paint slop, misprints. Even some figures
Yeah,
have
pretty much
like
for all of
the
the
same
toys.
limb. Like you'll see, I
Yeah.
saw. I don't remember where I saw. I think I saw on an Instagram.
That's gonna
Someone got a Hammond Gallimimus with 2 right arms. Actually, I think Marco got one.
Yeah, it was Marco.
Marco
Marco's the one
Mates.
who
He got
like,
a Hammond Galley with 2 right hands. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
back in the day, we
and
didn't
those
have to
are
worry about that. Now we
those are
have
fairly
to
we
common
because
do.
defects.
there's so many defects with the Hammond collection. Even with the mainline stuff, like I can't tell you how many dinosaurs I've seen with misprinted eyes, sloppy
Mhm.
teeth paint.
For Mattel, in the past couple Beyond the Gates, they have acknowledged the fans' thoughts and the fans' criticisms that have come out of some of their previous reveals. For
Yeah,
example,
people listen to fans at some extent.
Or
for
acknowledged,
example,
quote unquote.
they like verbally acknowledged. So they said for herbivores, they know they messed up with the Triceratops or whatever. They didn't exactly say that, but they said, we know we need to add from now on because of the fan criticism. We need to add jaw articulation on the herbivore. They're referring to the Ankylosaurus. That was in October's Beyond the Gates. And then for this November one, we got another acknowledgement, which is we know not to leave the stripe off of the Jeep. These are all 2 acknowledgements of issues that the fans have expressed throughout the community, and they're pretty big issues. A lot of people are disappointed that the trike does not have an articulated mouth, and
That's all for a lot.
people were very upset when there wasn't the stripe on the Jeep. So
I remember
it
that.
seems
like
like
it was
they're
yesterday.
kind of addressing some of their past mistakes. So it's very interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, even coming from like the same like designer, Mattel designer Gregory Murphy, I find this to be really interesting because Mattel, and we all know their track record. They rarely take any criticism from the fans,
Mhm.
and for something like this, like coming out of the mouth of a designer, and Gregory Murphy, like at the moment, like he's kind of like the designer that someone knows what he's talking about. Like Raphael and the other designers, like they just, I don't know why, I just don't really get that energy from them because they're
No,
just
he
there to
seems like he
sell.
actually is enthusiastic and knows what he's
Yeah.
talking about. You know what I
He
mean?
seems like an actual
Yeah.
fan of the franchise. I like how Mattel is actually kind of like, admitting like, hey, we messed up. But
We're
the fact
trying to
is like
rectify
they're
it now.
like,
Exactly.
oh, we're trying to learn. It's like, well, for the stripe thing, they're like, oh, well, we learned that fans really love that stripe. It's like, no, it's just you got it right the first time and then you screwed it up the second time. I don't
Exactly.
know how. Mattel, we shouldn't have to have this conversation. We want jaw articulation on the Hammond collection dinosaurs. We shouldn't have to have that conversation. Like that should just be kind of common knowledge.
Expected,
Like
and it was
yes, expected.
it's
so
very
stupid.
odd too because it's literally on every other figure. So I don't know what
And
possessed them to
Mattel
not put jaw
thinks-
articulation on the Triceratops. But it's just weird stuff like that.
Well, the Hammond trike they just did so dirty and they made it small and they didn't give it jaw articulation. I don't think it
Well,
has.
I could have at least dismissed the size. I feel like if it had jaw articulation was like accurate in that regard. What I really find frustrating about the Triceratops though is you literally see it like almost exclusively with the mouth open in the film.
Yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
you only see it with the mouth open.
I don't think we ever
in
saw
that
it with its
sick
mouth closed,
Triceratops.
even
Exactly.
in the Lost World. But it's like we
No,
shouldn't
not
have
really.
to have this conversation. Like this should be just kind of like common knowledge. I like how Mattel's like, oh well, we're really learning from our mistake. Like they're just saying, oh yeah, we messed up. It's like Mattel thinks they're like, oh, we're doing the right thing. We're admitting that we're wrong. It's like, dude, you're just
And-
kind of like, oh yeah, oops. They think they're
And
like
there
doing
comes-
the world a
Oopsie
favor
daisy.
for admitting that they were wrong. It's like,
And there's like the bigger questions, like how much criticism are they willing to take in? Because
not a lot.
Yeah.
if they're willing to take, because like here's the thing, like it could be two
If they're
options.
working
like, one-
towards it now,
Yeah.
like I think people have been asking for Gennaro too, so I think that's another one they listen to.
I mean, they
It's-
kind of
it's
went half and
interesting.
half there, in my opinion,
It
because
is.
like we
Yeah.
also asked for like an exploding toilet. We just got like a cardboard cutout of the.
I wish
Yeah,
they
so they're
actually
doing
made,
these
like, an
weird little
outhouse.
half and halves, so it's interesting.
That's what I was
for
gonna
sure.
say.
I just think they'll take it, but they won't take it forever. I think it's gonna get to a point where they're just gonna be like, all right, now you guys just get what we give you, because like
It's like
Now
close
you
enough.
guys are
Yeah.
too
people
greedy.
complain about every single little thing when there are things to complain about, but there's also things to congratulate them about. And
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
we should just acknowledge that. I think that they won't take criticism forever. It's gonna get to a point
Okay.
where they're just gonna do whatever they feel
Yeah.
like,
Sure,
and we have to
sure.
take it.
And then we're gonna have to go through the whole Hasbro, like, take away the license again, and then like
Yeah.
pass it up to like some other
Hopefully
toy
not.
company.
Hopefully not. They
Yeah,
seem to be doing
honestly,
pretty good.
as much as Mattel has been making
for-
mistakes for the last few years, I hope they don't lose the license, or else it could just go back to Hasbro, and then we'll never get a good figure ever again.
I think things they definitely do very nicely is like some of the Hammond collection figures are really beautiful. That was a great move in general. I know we critique that a lot, but that was an absolutely outstanding move to transition from that 6-inch collector's line to something that fits more with everything else they're making.
Yeah,
I
agree.
You know,
Yeah.
you can get hung up on that and say it should have been that way from the start, which yeah, admittedly
Yeah,
it should have
It
been.
should have.
But at least they fixed it and took that time to do so.
Yeah, we don't hate Mattel.
Yeah,
We want
just-
to. We're like a.
we hate their choices sometimes, but
Oh
it's-
yeah, we
Yes.
definitely hate some of the choices they make, but let's
and
put
the
this straight.
legacy sets are good too.
Here,
You know,
we should say a couple nice things about Mattel so the audience doesn't think, oh, they just keep on crapping on Mattel every episode they do. That's all they do.
Yeah,
It's like no. We
Is that clear?
like Mattel as a company.
Yeah.
Some of the choices they make are really stupid, and we really shouldn't have to
like
tell
'em-
them that
we
their
like 'em-
choices are stupid.
we like them because we like them so much that we want to see them improve.
We're
tough
not
love.
just
It's- yeah,
we're
it's
not
tough
just
love.
we're not dogging on them
Tough
for a
love.
living, all right? We're actually trying to do constructive criticism, all right? We're just
Yeah.
not gonna be dogging them with every
Yeah,
single.
we're not
figure.
haters. I mean, we still
we're not-
drop
yeah.
hundreds of dollars a year on this stuff.
Yeah.
We
Plus, drop more than-
want to keep dropping our money, although it is very expensive to drop thousands, at least thousands a year on these figures.
I
We want
spent a
good
few hundred.
We're
figures.
gonna probably drop more next year.
Yeah, honestly, that's the scary thing.
Oh,
Next
I'm
year they
gonna
might
go
have some really
bankrupt,
great
man.
stuff.
Here, I'll give Mattel a compliment on that stupid epic damage figures. The JP3 Raptor in specific has a better head
It looks
sculpt
great.
than the Hammond collection one, which is stupid. But hey, there's the one compliment I'll give to the epic damage or extreme whatever the hell they're calling it next
and
year.
the
Because at this
Explorer.
point, I do not
And this
care.
war.
The Explorer is also nice. I feel like as time goes on, Mattel is really leaning back into what Hasbro was doing in 2015, which is not a good thing at all. They started
it's
out really
not.
strong in 2018, but now it's they are really it's evolving. But at the same time, we're getting stuff like the Hammond collection, which is something we've been wanting for a very long time, but we're also getting terrible figures on the mainline end, which I guess is okay because hey, at the end of the day, we're going to be saving money because we're not buying all these terrible figures. I just don't understand Mattel's motives sometimes. So it's oh, they say they want to make a collector's line, but they're still putting the same
Goofy
the goofy proportions, the crazy I don't know.
giant feet.
Yeah, the
Well,
clown feet thing
there
needs
are
to
ways
stop.
to fix that, right? Speaking of Marco Makes,
Right.
Yes, so Marco Makes is he's a very prolific YouTuber. I'm sure you guys know of him. And he makes STL files, which are 3D printable files of the Hammond collection Velociraptor replacement head and feet for those, and then also the Indoraptor replacement head, and also Hammond collection T-Rex replacement feet, which I have actually printed, which are beautiful files, all of them. They all have a lot of detail, and people are actually buying the STLs and then selling those printed for profit. And I think this is very terrible. I think that definitely we should respect the artist when they're, making all this stuff. It's really not that expensive. They've worked hours on all of this stuff. And when you consider all that, and they're not just one big company that can afford to, give it to you cheaper, it's stuff to consider instead of just trying to, get it for the cheapest possible price and, going through someone who might be, profiting off of this, which is bad.
I would like to kind of piggyback off of that because I obviously want to kind of do that kind of thing, make files and sell them. Now I don't want to because people are stealing them from Marco. They're selling them and they're justifying this oh, it's so expensive. Well, yeah, there's a reason it's so expensive. It's because, people are out here trying to do this for a living. And
it's an actual
it's not a company
thing. It's a hobby.
Marco's one man.
It's a one-man creation, and he's put tons of time and effort into every single sculpt, I'm sure. So and
he's gotta buy
he has to like sell the file. This is a very bold move because he didn't have to sell the file. I know
No.
Rod's Random Work definitely doesn't sell any STLs for this very reason, just so people don't, steal them or do any of that stuff. He sells actual final printed things. And so it's a bold move of Marco to do these in STL form, and people are just abusing it, which is obviously really terrible.
They're ruining
Which
the
is
fun for
really
everybody.
dumb.
Exactly.
It's not cool at all. I think it's deplorable, honestly, because
Yeah.
you look at other artists who want to do that kind of thing, like people who want to like make figures for people and all that, and they just look and see what their people are doing out there. It's like, why the hell would I want to do that? Someone's gonna take my model and sell it without my permission. If they got
Exactly.
there's a difference
And
between reaching out to the artist and saying, hey, is it all right if I sell you, like getting permission, and that's
Well,
up
if you're
to the
gonna
artist.
sell it, then you're not supposed to really sell it for profit, because that's
No.
not
That's against the terms.
that's against the terms. But yeah. So
it's
what
a
I was
shame,
saying,
'cause he's just doing this for everyone.
piggybacking off of Nate, like that's exactly my comment. Is like that's what makes artists like not want to do this sort of stuff, is when people disrespect them and like abuse their generosity and stuff like that, and it's just what makes people not feel motivated to create, which sucks, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah, it really does suck because in this community specifically, we have a lot of talented artists who put their heart and soul in making as closely accurate models as humanly possible. Of course, if you're going off of Jurassic Park models, these films are now decades old, and it's really hard to get reference
30
material.
years old.
Yeah, Jurassic Park's turning 30 next year, so it's really hard to get reference material. And here is, Marco making a style guide, which is like the most useful material I've ever seen. I'm definitely going to use it when I do my Rex
Yes,
repaint.
exactly.
And people are ripping it off and selling it. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, they're printing that one out and
like-
selling it, and they're complaining about minute details that really don't matter, and they
That
don't
pissed
take
me
away
off,
from the
too.
overall construction of the thing. It's
It's
stupid
free.
to see. People
Take it.
are so nitpicky and so judgmental about all this stuff that is made for their convenience, and it really just does not resonate well with artists, especially being an artist myself.
Right.
Yeah, he's really just doing several other companies' jobs for them, and he's taking like the minimal credit for it. He's just a one-man army doing this not for him but the whole community, really. And he's getting milked out. Like, he's getting milked completely.
Yeah.
I
So
honestly
guys,
think
if anyone's watching this, definitely just try and, buy straight from the artist or whatever, and don't do this disrespectful stuff. We got to show our support so they keep on doing this and feel motivated for sure. It's not just that they're charging a lot. They're charging a lot because they've worked a lot and they have a lot of skill. So
you are paying for the quality of the figure. Well, not only the quality of the figure, you're paying for the skill that someone has taken years to master. And it's a lot of work trying to make a model of a Jurassic Park dinosaur. You might think, if you're not familiar with 3D modeling, of course, I know I've been doing it for like 5 or 6 years. It is difficult to make a model of a dinosaur. It takes hours upon hours of work. And to see someone just ripping that off, it absolutely just isn't right.
Well,
So
I think something has to be said also about people wanting these things at super low prices, even though the hours put in just don't reflect that. I mean, there's only so much the artist wants to, sacrifice off their end, that they're willing to. Because, like, I've sold my repaints in the past, or tried to at least. I've sold a few of them, but generally, I can't get as much as I really would want, materials and, like, labor time included. I mean, I spend 12, 15 hours on some of these repaints only for them to sell, like, not even a minimum wage I'd be getting for all the hours I work. It's people really need to understand with art, it's not just, the final finished product. It's not something that's a manufactured like Mattel or whatever. It's actually people making that, handcrafted.
here, I can make up a scenario to help the audience better understand this. So let's say you're making a figure and it takes you, I don't know, let's say 50 hours to make the figure. Let's say printing, assembling, and painting takes, I don't know, 40 hours. Because I have printed and made figures, and this stuff does take a long time. I've spent like a month working on just one figure, because all the time you have to take to model the joints, print them, make sure everything fits correctly, it takes a long time. So, 50 hours just to model it. Now, of course, printing and painting, you can make as many as you want, but you're at 90 hours, and let's say you sell the figure for $200. It's not even comparable, like, a minimum wage. Like, it's like you'll be making, like, that's like for every hour you work, you get, like, $1. And
It's these people really aren't making a big profit. That's the
it's
bottom
not
line.
as big as you
They're-
would think if you don't, like, if you don't research this kind of stuff, you don't realize the profit, because there's also the material. If
And
you're
people
using filament
exactly.
or
People
resin,
reinvest.
resin's really expensive.
They reinvest in their own things too. So I mean, it's not like they're pocketing it necessarily. They have a love for their craft. They're gonna reuse that money they spent to try and make what they create better. So that's what you really got to understand.
If someone's trying to do this for a full-time job, they got bills to pay, they got a family to feed. Now you're just ripping it off. This isn't like, people just have this mindset of it's like a company. No, it's one guy probably sitting in his bedroom or in his basement, wherever,
His
making
studio.
these, spending hours upon hours making these for the enjoyment of people, and people are just taking it for granted. So, oh, your prices are too high. If you have a problem with the price, either don't buy it because you don't want to pay that price, somebody else will.
Exactly.
Because the people who are buying, let's take Marco as an example.
Yeah, his rubber stores still sell out in minutes.
They sell out.
and
No, they
everything.
sell out in seconds, because they're like one of the best quality. I honestly think Marco is like one of the best in the game. If you look at the quality of his stuff compared to Mattel stuff, have you ever seen a rubber store with bad quality control? I haven't.
No, because he makes them all himself.
He makes them
But
himself.
anyways,
He inspects every single detail.
Is there anyone else that has anything to say?
I just think the main takeaway is to respect the artists and just really recognize all the work that they put in.
Yeah, my thoughts
Definitely.
exactly. So speaking of art that is not deserving of respect, we're gonna segue into the recently released Camp Cretaceous Hidden Adventure. Now, I have not done this at all. I'm not planning on doing so. I really disliked Camp Cretaceous. For many reasons, not just because I wanted to hate on it. I did like the first season, but after that, they just screwed up the storytelling, I would say. So, yeah, I mean, let's talk about it.
It's just another adventure, but this time the characters die.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I don't know too much about it again because I haven't done it, but I mean, Nate, have you done it?
I have. Oh, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't done Camp Cretaceous Hidden Adventure. Well, you're not really missing out on much if you dislike Camp Cretaceous. It's not, as Jacob said, you can kill the characters, which is, well, if you're a psychopath, that's really good. It is kind of fun
A
to
little
go
neat
through the
bonus in there.
scenarios and like choose different options. And of course, although the end goal is kind of the same thing, so I'll explain the story real quick. The campers, there's a big storm just hit Nublar. Darius wakes up in a Tarbosaurus nest, and they're all out of food. Darius links up with the other campers after almost being eaten by the Tarbosaurus. And so the campers need to get food because they just ran out of their stash, and obviously they want to try to survive as long as they can for help to arrive. I'm guessing this takes place in between Season 2 and Season 3, because later we
Most
see the
likely.
Mosasaurus still in its enclosure. So obviously this has to take place in between the second and third season. While Darius is he wakes up in the Tarbosaurus nest smelling like a Tarbosaurus, and you're probably wondering, what does that have to do with the story?
I didn't know if this was canon
We'll get
or
to it.
not.
So Darius finds a video camera which actually shows footage from the raptor paddock, and I think he's like a scientist or something. He's worked on the park.
think his
Apparently
name was
worked
Charlie
with John
Chaplin.
Hammond. I don't remember his name, honestly. It's not really that important. But he had a food stash because he had a prediction that everything was going to go to hell and everything was going to break loose, which of course we all know it did. So the camper's like, oh, let's go find, because he had instructions. And the mercenaries like, oh, this guy's just crazy, and they threw it into the raptor pen. And so the campers go and retrieve the piece of paper to tell him like where his hidden adventure is, which is not a separate theme park, but it's like a
Six
theme
Flags.
park inside the theme park. It's like
It's like the Lego Jurassic type thing where they had all like the Carnotaurus, the Baryonyx, they were all like awake. type thing, right? They're all
Wait,
kind of
The best way I
quarantined.
can display it, it's like, you know, you have Disney World and you have like Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom.
okay.
It's kind of something like that. It's called the Hidden Adventure. It's just like a little theme park with they have like a roller coaster and a Ferris wheel and like a bunch of concession stands. So
yeah,
the
it's
campers
literally- it's
obviously
just like
need
the
to
Lego thing
find
then.
a way to find out where the Hidden Adventure is. So they either go to Main Street. That's where you can choose. The story kind of breaks off into two, but then kind of converges again at the end because they need to find Hidden Adventure. So you can either go to the security tunnels or you can go to Main Street. If you go to Main Street, you encounter Rexy, and they find like a book, and they find the page in the book like that'll show them where Hidden Adventure is, and it actually Sammy rips it off. It flies out of her hand because of the wind, and it lands like somewhere in the Mosasaurus pen. You have to try to retrieve it out of there.
Yeah, so
Really cool
basically
death
it's all
scene,
just
honestly.
stupid. So it's just a
Yeah.
bunch of like stupid storytelling and stuff like that. I mean, it's
Pretty
cool.
much.
I'm sure kids will really enjoy it.
I will say
But,
it's less cringy than like the later seasons of Camp Cretaceous.
Yeah.
Like, of course, this is before like all the Kenji, Brooklyn, Sammy, Yaz romance.
Yeah,
kinda
so
crap happens.
I want to touch on just
It's
Camp
kind of like
Cretaceous
the
as a
scene
whole
where,
because I feel like they really executed it so poorly, and they probably could have made it still okay. So all the realism that was displayed in season 1 got thrown out the window as soon as season 2 started. Like,
Yep.
I think what they could have done is kept a little bit more of the realism. They still could have tailored it to kids a little bit, and it would have been fine. I think it would have been a pretty decent series if they like made a more realistic timeline and all of that stuff, because I don't think poachers would be directly on the island right after everything went bad. That doesn't make sense to me, at least.
No.
One thing that really didn't make
um,
sense to me was the time jump that keeps happening during the show. It's like, oh, it's only
Yeah,
been
it
like
was
a couple
yeah,
days
they're
after
on
the
the
events.
island
now
for
it's
so
been like
long.
6 months. Now it's been like a year. Like, what the hell is going on here?
I guess they just presumed everyone was dead or something. I mean, it's really dumb, the timeline. I know they tried to extend the show out. I know that's exactly why they made the show so long, but it's kind of annoying.
It could have ended at season 3, honestly. Like, season 1 was really good. I really enjoyed season 1. I was really like looking
Mhm.
forward to like the show continuing. Cause I'm like, oh, it would be nice to see them like try to survive on the island and all that.
Yeah.
Season
yeah.
2 like completely got derailed from like the realism sense, like you said earlier. It was just
It's-
like
it's
really
just a-
stupid and really corny, like that like slow motion explosion with like
Yeah,
the
I mean, it's
baryonyx.
really
It's
just
that
like
was stupid.
it's the introduction of all that cheesy stuff, and then it's the timeline really throws me off too. That's another unrealistic thing I would definitely say.
Season
yeah.
3 was like okay, it was better than season 2, but then it was like really like weird. Oh, they have
Yeah,
to
it's odd.
retrieve the laptop, like blah 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 at the end, and then like it linked up
Mhm.
with like the Fallen Kingdom like prologue,
Yeah.
and then
Does anyone
season
else have
4 just went off the
anything to
rails.
say about Camp Cretaceous or the Hidden Adventure?
No comment on Camp Cretaceous.
Have you watched that at all?
Just the deaths. That's the only.
The deaths
Yeah,
are
no,
pretty
same
cool
here.
though. I like the one where they get crushed by a brachiosaur. I really enjoyed that one. That one actually
Speaking of
flows with.
Adventure,
I will say
Um,
the Tarbosaurus looks so stupid, and when it's
it was
like, so the Tarbosaurus sound effects is a bunch of clicking, which makes no sense. Also, it's literally just the T-Rex with spikes and like a little bit of a different
Yeah.
sculpt shape, and they're actually the same size. Like if you look, they fight at the end. They fight in like the Hidden Adventure thing.
I
And
mean, it's
Rexy
just a
kills it.
reworked T-Rex model. They weren't gonna probably make a whole
They
new
couldn't have
thing.
made like a different model. Like it looks so stupid. I remember when I watched the trailer for Hidden Adventure, I'm like, why does the T-Rex look weird? Because I'm like, I don't know what the hell this is. And
I
then the
thought it was a
picture of the
hybrid.
Tarbosaurus came out, and I'm like, oh, that's why. Because it's
It-
not a T-Rex.
It
It's a
instantly reminded me
spiky-
of that Hasbro thing, the spiky T-Rex.
Oh, you
I
mean
know
that
what you're talking about.
crappy 2016 hybrid
The green
T-Rex?
one.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Vomit green. Well, the coloration of the Tarbosaurus was okay. The model just looked terrible. And when
Isn't
it
the
made that,
coloration pretty similar to the Mattel figure? Red and gray.
it's actually quite different.
You know,
Um,
speaking of Hidden Adventure, when Rexy chases like the campers to the Mosasaurus area, I really did like the fact that Rexy was actually scared of the Mosasaurus. I like that. I like that it was like she knew that if I go near that place, I'm gonna get dragged in like the Indominus Rex did. Which
I will say
Um,
the Mosasaurus is a lot bigger in Camp Cretaceous than it was in Jurassic World, but then again, Jurassic
Even
World, it was like
bigger.
kind of normal sized, and then 2018, 2022,
No,
Fallen
that-
Kingdom Dominion, it's like, it's a kaiju,
It's-
basically.
I mean, it's massive regardless in all of those films. It's not a very
Yeah, but like, in 2015 it wasn't like it was big, but it wasn't like monstrously big. Like
Godzilla size
someone actually calculated the size of it in that wave scene at the end of Fallen Kingdom. It was 300 feet long.
God damn.
That is like
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know
So,
like how to
that's a bit big.
too big. But
Anyways, we have some interesting other news. After we close the remarks of Hidden Adventure and Camp Cretaceous. So
I'd give Hidden Adventure like, I don't know, a 5 out of 10. It wasn't that great. It wasn't eye-catching. It wasn't good. Tarbosaurus was just bad. Especially when it made the clicking sound. All they did was just make the lips move, and it looked so stupid.
Mhm.
Like, really bad. I don't
If you want a
recommend
good choose your adventure type Jurassic scenario, just play Jurassic Park the game.
literally
Yep.
play
Actually,
any
that's
Jurassic
the superior
Park
one.
game.
All right. Now, speaking of actual Jurassic movies and better Jurassic content, I guess. Jurassic World 4 and 5 are rumored. They are rumored to be in
Oh,
production,
boy.
and they are not directed by Colin Trevorrow.
Thank
apparently.
God.
This is
No.
exclusive from a source, but honestly, I think it's true because why wouldn't they continue this cash grabbing empire? But anyways,
I don't know because I've heard it's real and I've heard it's fake. I don't know what I
I
believe,
think
honestly.
it's definitely real. But
Because Universal's like, oh, this is the end of the franchise. This is marketing the end of the franchise. Even Colin
Well, it
Trevorrow
wouldn't-
didn't know that they were marketing as the epic conclusion. Epic conclusion, my ass, to the franchise.
well,
It's
of
like,
this franchise, but like
well,
they're still
good
going to
riddance to the
continue.
Jurassic World
They
trilogy.
tie
Jurassic Park could stay.
together.
They still have tons of stuff that's yet to be explored. We have or that could be explored further. We have Maisie, we have Kayla, who was just newly introduced, and we have the one smuggler woman, I forgot her name, that got away. So
Oh, the
perhaps
Velociraptor
that,
lady?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Now perhaps those characters might be in the story again because it sort of seemed like a loose end. So I would probably think so, but
I don't know. I don't know how I feel
I don't
about
know.
this whole thing turning into like the Jurassic Cinematic Universe. It's like
yeah, it sort of feels that way for sure.
Dominion just
and it feels
if it was so bad, it's like I don't know how they could even recover from this.
I
Like
Yeah,
have a
it's-
question for any of you guys in here. Have you guys ever seen the movie Prey?
Prey.
I did
Isn't that the
not
new
watch
Predator film?
Prey.
Yes,
Yeah.
but you know,
I haven't watched it.
do you know what they should do? They need to make a Jurassic movie that's set in the Jurassic canon, but like outside of like
The main
everything
cast.
else. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what they need to do is they need to like use some of the stories that they already created themselves, like the amalgam testing or the 94 cleanup or something like that, and they should probably make something about that instead of just trying to build and build. Why don't they just go back and explore different stuff that answers a lot of big questions that we have? I mean, it really doesn't make that much sense if you think about it. Why they're just trying to expand out and not bring anything back or any answers into previous events when it could be so easy to do so.
Or just touch base on like the dinosaurs on the mainland because they were there for years, right? Like
And they
surely there's
they know
stories
how
to be told.
Exactly, and
There has
that's
to be
where
some
like
close encounters.
Dino Tracker kind of came in, and Dino Tracker I think provided more insight than like Dominion and everything about what actually occurred.
I'm really surprised. Like, it still shocks me that Dominion did nothing with like the whole dinosaurs in the mainland thing. And if they are going to make more films in the future, which I kind of hope they take a break for at least, I don't know, 5 years. Like, I'm not saying we
They
have to go
probably
into another
will.
14-year gap between films, but I want them to actually kind of like explore all the lore at least we know from like Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. Well, there's
Mhm.
not much for Jurassic World, but like it would be cool to
still,
see
you can-
like I don't know how life kind of evolved on Isla Nublar. Like, I want to see what happened to Nublar. I want to see like when they were building Jurassic World. They could do like a whole series on like the actual construction of Jurassic World and the recapturing of all the loose Nublar assets, and obviously them like
Exactly, there's
boarding off
endless
the
stories to be told.
the original park, them doing all the cleanup in 94. Like, there's so much stuff they can do. It's just they seem to lack the brains to actually like go ahead and do it, even though I don't think anybody would actually like
Yeah.
complain about it.
There's so many stories to be told in this franchise, and the fact that they just keep building it out and adding instead of trying to go back and explain some of the key things that are big parts of this franchise, it's a little bit upsetting, I would say.
That's why we're here.
But yeah, exactly.
I think
should actually remake Jurassic Park with feathered dinosaurs.
If
Dude,
there's one
Colin
thing this
Trevorrow said
franchise-
in a quote, he goes, "I weep for anyone who tries to make the Jurassic Park remake. Like, why would you ever try and remake that movie? It does not need to be remade at all."
if there's
No,
one
it really
thing this
doesn't.
franchise does not need, and that is a remake of the original film. The original film is probably like untouchable. Like you should not touch it. If you do touch it, there will be consequences.
Yes.
The forbidden fruit.
Universal
They
forgets there
don't
are
just want to
adults
see
who watch this
dinosaur action.
franchise.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like cash grab, like when you just see a bunch of dinosaurs on the screen and not like an actual story. It's more focused on like fight scenes and action and stuff like that. You can definitely tell it's catered to a like kid audience, it feels like. But yeah, Dawson, you wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, just one final thing about the pressing matter. So I'm just gonna stay a little bit skeptical about the recent rumors, but even if there
Yeah.
is like a 4 and 5 coming out or in production, I think they're making a big mistake right now because no
I
one
agree.
and look, there's like a majority of people that are not interested. There's also a sum of people that are interested in like the franchise to continue, but the important thing is we actually need a break from everything. I mean, Dominion wasn't really that good in my opinion. Fallen
No.
King, like the whole Jurassic World trilogy was not even that good, except for Jurassic World, which in itself was just basically a cash grab of the original film. I mean, whatever direction they take it, I mean, I just hope they like make smart decisions of it. And I don't think like piggybacking off like the Maisie or Kayla, like I mean, it is interesting ideas. Like not gonna lie, but I rather prefer, like you mentioned, Jay, with the 94 cleanup or like something that ties the movies together so it doesn't feel as confusing the first time watching it. And those are just my thoughts to wrap up
Exactly,
on.
and I think that's where like a Netflix series or a series in general would come in real handy.
Yeah.
But
And even if Colin's not even tied to the project, this kind of worries me a lot. It's not just like if Colin's in charge or
yeah,
JB
yeah.
Ona's in charge. I mean, you got to find like a director, a writer, and a team that can put their best effort into a project. If you
Exactly.
find just another run-of-the-mill like writer or director who has a history of failed films, like failed blockbusters, like let's just take for example the writer for Jurassic World. I mean, Jurassic World Dominion, like she pretty much wrote the Battle of Big Rock, which was pretty good, and I had high hopes for her. But one thing that I majorly overlooked was her box office bombs, and I think she wrote Pacific Rim. That was, I think it was filmed and like released in 2015, 2016, around that time. I kind of completely forgot about that, but that bombed, and she was tied to the project, and we should have seen this coming a long time ago. That Mania was
Well,
going to be a box office bomb, and it was not going to be that good.
well, I mean, yeah, it still is obviously very successful because of all the marketing and all that.
Yeah,
But
that's it.
As a film.
as a film, it
yes.
was not very good. It had a terrible Rotten Tomatoes score, and that's just not like all over criticism. Some of that is like completely true and factual. Like it's not like people are just hating on the movie to hate. It's very different and not as high quality, it feels like, as the original films at all. So,
Yeah.
And
what it
like
needs-
Rotten Tomatoes also helped it a lot too with the critics like
Mhm.
mentioned about it. So
it definitely needs a real fan behind the
the
curtains.
stories, yeah.
yeah, we need like
And
another
that's the fan
Spielberg.
that got into it about 5 years ago.
But I think Bryce Dallas Howard is kind of alluded by Colin, and like I don't know, she's a director. Obviously, she's done The Mandalorian, a few episodes and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they're
Um,
good. They're really good.
Yeah, those are good, and I think part of that is because they have very solid lore and like basis around their story, But I'm really hoping that if she does in fact direct the Jurassic film, she can kind of take some of that realism and sort of in-universe stuff and transfer it to Jurassic. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
I mean, but then again, I'm open to other new ideas, like other directors who are willing to dip their feet into like Jurassic and pretty much give us the quality storytelling and content that we need at the
Yeah,
moment.
for sure.
Even and after like that break, because I would prefer a break from the franchise in general at the moment.
I can agree with you on that.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
everybody just wants a break from like Jurassic content. It's kind of like, we got
It's
too
drawn
much in
out.
1 year. Now we just need like a very long break.
Very drawn out. We got Jurassic Park 30 coming this year, so obviously it's going to be another big year for Jurassic.
Oh, I'm gonna be
Um,
so broke.
But yeah, that's actually something to look forward to because it's the movie that inspired everything. There's a lot of nostalgia tied to it, and so that's what we like to see at least.
Hey,
Yeah.
can I give you guys all a little theory about something I thought of about by the 30th anniversary? I don't know why, but this like popped into my head, like the back of my head, and it's just that I had a feeling that what if Universal announces a Jurassic project, like not a movie, but like a show, like that, like popped up in my head for some reason. I don't know why it did, but it's like popped back in my
I think
head.
a show would be beneficial, as I said.
A show would be nice
Yeah.
as long as it's like live action, because I think nobody wants to see like
I th-
another animated
yeah.
show.
Well, I think we are getting another animated show.
Oh,
There's
yippee.
one that there's been casting calls and stuff like that, and I think that's where the Indoraptor that for this year at least, I think that's where that theme's coming from. So
I'm curious to see what they'll do with the whole Dino Tracker thing. Because if Dino Tracker is going to be like, let's say they make a TV show that they call it Dino Trackers. I'm wondering, like, will they
it's
actually?
not Dino Trackers. It's another Camp Cretaceous type thing, but it takes place on the mainland from what has been rumored so far.
And it's gonna have
Sounds
the
interesting.
Indoraptor.
Yeah, because it takes place after like the whole Lockwood thing. Like, obviously, there's just an Indoraptor corpse sitting there.
Or
Um,
there could be another one. I highly doubt there's gonna be another one, but
Yeah, but
Hope not.
anyway, so there's that. I think that's it for today's podcast. Thank you for tuning in to episode 2 of the InGen Company Board. We'll see you next time. Stay tuned.
goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye.